Hello and welcome. I'm David Ono. It is an honor to be hosting today's live stream of Go for Broke National Education Center's 19th annual Evening of Aloha virtual gala. To our supporters and viewers from across the country and the world, we thank you for joining us for this special celebration. And as a member of the board of directors, I have seen our organization successfully face this year's unprecedented challenges by creating new opportunities. But rest assured, there is one thing that will never change: our commitment to tell the story of the Japanese American veterans of World War II, to remember, educate, and inspire. That is our motivation, and that is why we are happy to be with so many of you today. In fact, I am pleased to share with you that my network, ABC7, is live streaming this event because they too felt it was important to honor and support our veterans. So let me now introduce a guy that really needs no introduction, my co-host, Mitch Maki, President and CEO of Go for Broke National Education Center. Mitch, it's great to see you.
Good to see you too, David, thanks. And a big aloha to all of you watching live. I am delighted that together we will celebrate and honor our World War II Nisei soldiers. In creating today's program, we wanted to capture the essence and spirit of our signature event called Evening of Aloha. And we also want to hear from you too, so please chat with us live on Facebook and YouTube. Share with us from where you are watching and with whom you are watching. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that because this is our gala, contributions can be made through our website, on Facebook, during today's program. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce you to one of our two gala co-chairs, Staci Toji, who along with Kathy Tanaka made this event possible. They both truly are dedicated to our organization.
Felina mai kako. Greetings. I'm Staci Toji, member of Go for Broke National Education Center's Board of Directors. On behalf of Kathy Tanaka, my co-chair, and member of our Circle of Ambassadors, and myself, we are pleased to welcome you to the 19th annual Evening of Aloha virtual gala. Although we can't meet in person, it was important that this year's gala honor the Nisei World War II veterans in the same EOA traditions of community, family, and sharing of stories. Our hope is that each one of you walk away with a deeper understanding and appreciation of the remarkable Nisei veterans' stories of courage, patriotism, and sacrifice. These veterans valiantly fought for the notion of equality so that all Americans could have a better, more just life. You will also be hearing about our current and upcoming work as we continue to evolve and enhance our educational programming and outreach towards a newer, younger, and more diverse audience. Lastly, Kathy and I would like to thank our dedicated and generous supporters who remain committed to sharing the legacy of the Nisei veterans, not just as a Japanese American story, but as a compelling American story for generations to come. It is now my pleasure to introduce the traditional posting of the colors by the 100th Battalion, 442nd Infantry Regiment Color Guard from Hawaii, followed by the singing of the national anthem by the very talented Lauren Kinkade-Wong. Please enjoy.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
How wonderful to see the posting of the flags from the scenic island of Oahu by the 100th Battalion, 442nd Infantry Regiment Color Guard. And a special thank you to Lauren Kinkade-Wong for her beautiful rendition of our national anthem. And for those that are joining us for the first time, you might be wondering why we call our gala the Evening of Aloha. Well, let me briefly explain. The Hawaiian word aloha illustrates the values of kindness, humility, and perseverance. In the context of relationships, it is how each person is an important piece of a collective existence.
Well said, David. Certainly, we all can relate to the spirit of aloha. As crazy as this year has been, we've seen our community working together to get through this pandemic. It is rewarding to know that so many of you share our commitment to embracing our veteran stories. We are so fortunate to welcome back many longtime sponsors, including our diamond sponsor, the Aratani Foundation. I am honored to introduce a special message from Linda Aratani.
Hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to the Go for Broke National Education Center's 19th Annual Evening of Aloha. I'm Linda Aratani from the Aratani Foundation, and we are proud to be diamond sponsors for this year's gala. For the past 23 years, the Aratani Foundation has aligned itself with Go for Broke to assure the legacy of the Nisei World War II veterans, and in particular my father, George Aratani, who served in the Military Intelligence Service. Throughout this program, you will learn more about the meaning and the significance of the Nisei veterans' story as they fought for equality, and I hope you will find ways to continue to come together and support Go for Broke as they educate and inspire new audiences. Thank you very much, and please enjoy this year's Evening of Aloha virtual program.
The Aratani Foundation is a wonderful supporter of our veterans and our Japanese American community. And thank you, Linda, we mean that from the bottom of our hearts, for your long-standing support and for taking time to be part of our program. It's been almost 80 years since the start of World War II. Most of our veterans are in their 90s and some into their 100s. Each year, there are many veterans who pass away, and each year at the gala, we celebrate their lives and legacy. As the names appear, I ask each of you to think of the 33,000 American soldiers of Japanese ancestry who so valiantly and selflessly served our country. This year's In Memoriam features a beautiful hula performance by Staci Toji, accompanied by Wayne Inoue and Brian Yamamoto.
It is always so difficult to see the many names of the veterans who passed away. It reminds us of the importance of our work in keeping their stories alive. We can and we will work to ensure that this remarkable story is never forgotten. At Go for Broke National Education Center, we have a hard-working, dedicated board of directors. Recently, I spoke with the chair of the board, George Henning, about why he is so connected to the veterans and to our organization. George shared his personal connection.
Back in the early 1990s, I was introduced to Manabe Hirosaki through Sid Gagawa, and as we got to know each other, he began to share some of the stories about his life growing up. He was a very humble person, and I think that's a characteristic I've observed in most of the veterans I've met through the years. Manabe was part of the 522nd, assigned to the artillery unit because he was one of the tallest people being enlisted, which was humorous since Manabe wasn't that tall to begin with. But that came much later on because early on it was very difficult to get him to talk about it. But through Go for Broke, he began to learn more about it, and then it provided an opportunity to have further discussions with him. Going off to serve the country and prove that they were American citizens like everybody else, which is amazing because of the fact that here you have U.S. citizens being incarcerated, and yet they're volunteering to serve their army. The more and more you got to know about it, the more committed you became to it because you realized how important the legacy was. It's a very important and powerful story that needs to be told. I think this has been an incredible year with COVID-19. To me, the most gratifying part of it is the fact that donors and individuals stepped up to really support Go for Broke. The other part of it that was your staff really rose to the occasion, began to pivot from more of an exhibit-oriented organization to begin to really understand how we can deliver the legacy of Go for Broke in many different ways to many different people through different means of communication, telling the story in virtual events, and I think that's something that's going to be very, very important for the future.
Thank you, George, for your remarks and your leadership. The most poignant moment of Evening of Aloha is the veteran roll call, when we present our beloved veterans on stage. Obviously, we could not gather them together this year. Instead, we asked veteran organizations nationwide to help identify living Nisei World War II veterans. We invited these veterans to participate. We requested a World War II era photo and a current photo. 88 living Nisei veterans responded from 10 states, ranging from 90 to 104 years old. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And we know that these veterans and their families are watching. Thank you for your service and your participation. And Mr. Kazuo Koshi, Executive Chairman of MUFG Union Bank, will introduce the first of 3 photo tribute segments, which starts with the youngest of our living veterans.
Aloha. The mission of the Go for Broke National Education Center is to educate and inspire character and equality. I cannot think of anything more noble and necessary today. MUFG Union Bank is delighted to be a Ruby sponsor of this event. I'm privileged to introduce the Living Nisei World War II Veteran Photo Tribute in honor of their valiant service. Thank you all for your support of this terrific organization. Mahalo.
Wow, to see past and present side-by-side photos is amazing. And for those of you watching, let us know what you think of our tribute through our chat lines. Also, do share with us what the Nisei story means to you. A bonus of having this photo tribute was that we were able to re-engage with many veterans and veteran organizations. It was truly a collective effort, and it is partnerships like these that play a critical role in our growth and sustainability. We hope to continue to work with our current partners as well as forge new collaborations. And we asked a few of our partners to join us today.
Aloha from Honolulu. I'm Carl Okimura from the 442nd Veterans Club and Legacy Center. We're pleased to be a part of this year's Evening of Aloha as one of Go For Broke's National Education Center's partners. I'd like to thank Mitch and the Go For Broke National Education Center for all of their continuing efforts and hard work. We look forward to continuing to work together to ensure the continuing legacy of our Nisei World War II veterans. Mahalo!
Greetings from Denver, Colorado. I'm Cindy Kondo, and on behalf of the Nisei Veterans Heritage Foundation, we are pleased to be part of this year's Evening of Aloha as one of the Go For Broke National Education Center's partners. Earlier this year, we hosted the Portraits of Courage exhibit. Through this exhibit, we were able to share the stories of our Nisei veterans who served in the 100th Battalion, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and the Military Intelligence Service. Thank you, Go For Broke National Education.
Experiences of the Japanese American culture and history with the world.
Hello, I'm Gene Conmoy, President and CEO of Cato, located here in Los Angeles. Last year I was the Gala co-chair, so this event is very special to me. Since 2011, Cato has worked with Go For Broke National Education Center to ensure that the legacy of our Nisei World War II veterans are never forgotten. The courage and heroism that all of you exhibited in the toughest circumstances will always be looked upon as our community's proudest moments. We look forward to our continued partnership with Go For Broke National Education Center, in particular, finding ways to support our veterans and our older adult population.
When you look at the ages of our living veterans, a good majority live at home, being cared for by their family members. I want to acknowledge and thank their caregivers for keeping our veterans mentally and physically strong. Domo arigato. Our next guest is very special to the veterans and to our organization. He has attended many Evening of Alohas in the past. He has close ties to the veteran and is a member of Go For Broke National Education Center's Circle of Ambassadors. Please welcome General David Bramlett, who will introduce our next photo tribute segment.
Aloha from Hawaii. My name is General David Bramlett, United States Army retired. And more importantly, I have the honor to be a member of Go For Broke's Circle of Ambassadors. I look forward to Evening of Aloha every year because this gives us a chance as a community to gather together and salute our World War II Nisei veterans. Very, very special group that we honor tonight, virtually, in every opportunity we get. In fact, we could do it twice a day, every day of the year, and never say thank you enough. I think sometimes we take for granted the phrase for the 142nd Regimental Combat Team, that they were the most decorated unit for their size and duration of service. And sometimes we summarize the Military Intelligence Service as that group that shortened the war in the Pacific by 1 or 2 years and saved perhaps 1 million lives. That generalization masks the individual men who served in those units. The photos we see tonight remind us that those units were composed of individuals look at the youthful faces of the pictures and remember they did the things individually and collectively that we celebrate tonight. So it's a very special evening, and once again, we honor our veterans. Now I have the opportunity to present the next segment of our photo collection of the living World War II Nisei veterans. Aloha and thank you.
As General Bramlett so eloquently stated, it is wonderful to see the veterans' young faces. Their individual and collective accomplishments are beyond extraordinary. By the way, a little shout out here. We want to recognize 8-year-old Kainoa from the Bay Area. Thank you for watching, Kainoa, and we really appreciate you chatting with us today during this program. And just a reminder to keep chatting with us, and contributions can be made on our website and on Facebook. Now it is time to see what Go for Broke National Education Center has been doing during this crazy and unpredictable year. Our very own Mitch Mackey takes us on an exciting, in-depth journey about our innovative, upcoming work, and he gives us a glimpse of the wonderful programs to come.
2020, what a year. This is the year of the crazy peas. Pandemic, partisan politics, planetary craziness. No doubt, this is a year we will all remember. But despite the craziness, going into this year, we knew that our biggest challenge was to make the 75-year-old story of the Nisei World War II veterans relevant to our younger generations.
You fought not only the enemy, but you fought prejudice, and you've won. Keep up that fight, and we'll continue to win.
If our young folk could not identify with the story, then what would that mean for our organization? And more important, what would it mean for the Nisei veterans' legacy? We prioritized connecting with the younger generations, to connect with them in traditional ways and then in some not so traditional ways. What evolved was amazing. Meet Michael Ichida Eberlane, our 2019 poetry winner.
A single day was all it took for Japanese American lives to change forever. For friends, for neighbors, for brothers in arms, to be labeled enemy aliens. For good people, loyal to their country, to be treated as traitors at no fault of their own. Even though their country had turned on them, the patriotism of Japanese Americans did not waver, especially in those men who chose to fight for their nation and for freedom. The 442nd fought like no other, the bravest of the brave. Feared by their enemies, renowned by their peers, they put it all on the line, go for broke, and became the most decorated in history. Men who selflessly risked and gave their lives to save the lost battalion, to destroy oppression and liberate those without freedom. But still, today, injustice remains. Discrimination and hatred seen daily. Families put in cages for seeking freedom. People wrongly jailed, killed, solely for their race. But like the Nisei soldiers, we can choose to fight, not just for ourselves, but for others too. We can channel their bravery, their tenacity, and selflessness, and remind our nation that being American is not reserved for any one race, but for anyone who calls this country home.
So tell me, how did you learn about the Nisei World War II veteran story?
My mom is Japanese American, so it's always been important for her, and she's always made it an important thing to teach us that they weren't doing it for themselves necessarily. Their country had turned on them, and they were still willing to give their lives to prove that they were loyal.
When you think about your opportunities and you think about what those soldiers did, what kind of feelings do you experience?
Gratitude that I can live the way I live because of what they set and how they defeated oppression. They showed that we were American.
The story of our veterans is one that resides in the hearts of many of our young people. In June, we held our very first virtual monument anniversary tribute. The annual event held at our monument in downtown Los Angeles usually attracts 300 people or so. This year, over 10,000 electronic devices tuned in to see the event. People from 22 states and even one person in London tuned in to watch. Our keynote speaker was Kisa Ito, the granddaughter of Lawson Sakai.
As a child, I had very little understanding of my grandpa's time in the Army. I must have been pretty young when my mom tried to explain to me that Grandpa has a Purple Heart, and I responded in confusion, "How do you know?" with the impression that she had somehow seen an X-ray revealing a uniquely colored organ inside my grandpa's chest. I've since had the opportunity to participate in some FFNV reunions and events. At these gatherings, my grandpa and his fellow vets are able to open up about the 442nd and the 100th, and I learned so much about their experiences. This is in part why I'm so grateful for the people and organizations dedicated to continuing to share these stories of Nisei veterans. Last July, some of us grandchildren traveled with my mom and grandpa to France for the FFNV tour. It was a trip of many firsts. My first time to Europe, first time traveling with grandpa, and first time learning about his time in France as a 20-year-old soldier. He recounted painful memories of battles, shared stories about those who sacrificed their lives and didn't make it home. It was also the first time I had witnessed such a somber version of my typically bright and charismatic grandpa. Hearing his detailed accounts of the battles and seeing his emotional response to the monuments and cemeteries are memories I will always carry close to my heart.
What makes a 25-year-old person, someone who was born 50 years after World War II, care about this story? Sometimes it starts because they're related to a veteran, but then it grows to something much, much more.
So I'm half Japanese American, and I didn't know that much about that history, but then coming to Go for Broke has really broadened my understanding, and I kind of have had a lot more conversations with my dad in particular to be like, hey, I'm working for Go for Broke, they're they were asking about, what was Ji-chan in MAS, like where did he work, where was he based, and I realized that this is where I need to be.
We began creating a new series called Living the Nisei Dream, where we highlighted young people who were living out the opportunities which were created by the sacrifice and perseverance of our traditional Nisei. Sierra was the perfect person to host.
Hi, and welcome to this new series called Living the Nisei Dream from the Go for Broke National Education Center. I'm Sierra Kato, the host of this show, and I feel like I get to pursue a lot of dreams that, say, my grandparents weren't able to at the time. I'm going to be able to sit down with a bunch of young Japanese Americans who are also pursuing the Nisei dream. Maybe they're MCs, maybe they're actors, maybe they're fashion designers, who knows, but that's what we're going to figure out together. So here's a sneak peek. I'm here with Kazuo Jones. He's a hip-hop MC, a school teacher, a multi-talented Shin-Nisei artist, and an all-around cool dude, but don't take my word for it.
In the summer of 2018, I had the honor of working with the Go for Broke National Education Center, which is dedicated to commemorating Japanese Americans who fought for the U.S. during World War II. Their valiant story resonated with me being a Japanese American myself, and I was given the opportunity to perform a hip-hop piece. What greater way to uphold these stories and testimonies as aspects of our history are slowly fading away and forgotten while veterans and internment camp survivors passed away.
For me as a Japanese American, being under the Go for Broke umbrella, I think that's the living the Nisei dream. Everyone's our brothers, not only like, oni-chan tachi, like it's not just kazoku, it's like everyone's kazoku, like everyone's family. And I think that would be living the Nisei dream.
Hey, so Kaze, are you maybe working on anything?
It's funny you might ask.
Oh, wow, that was like so natural.
The president of Go for Broke, actually, Mitch Maki asked me if I could do a song for the show. We were meant to live free, dear South Emily, always going for broke, and yo, we live in the dream.
What your music video is about, right, is that it does feel very much like, them having to prove their Americanness.
Senator Daniel Inouye, and they're talking about his valiant story of when he lost his arm. I was like, wow, what a true American hero.
So we've been saying the phrase go for broke a lot, but what does it actually mean? Where did it come from? Basically, go for broke was a Hawaiian gambling phrase. It kind of means, shoot the works or go all in. So, think about what go for broke means to you. How are you going to use the attitude of go for broke to persist through your own challenges? Now, until next time, keep on living the Nisei dream.
Living the Nisei Dream. I am so excited about this series, and it will begin to roll out in January 2021. We also created another series titled Sharing Stories Around the Table. In this series, we feature different generations talking about the Nisei veterans' legacy, what it means to be American, and sharing family stories, and at times, touch the lives of our Nisei veterans through their special talents. In our first episode, Chef Akira Hirose shows us how to make a French omelet and then how to use it to bring a smile to the face of a veteran.
And where did you get that idea?
We opened last year, September, and the 4 people and 2 veterans, I thought they were into Japanese food. No, they choose the French omelet. French omelet. I believe they had an experience eating the toast and the French omelet when they were in France.
So we are putting together a bento today with a French omelet to represent the 442nd and their time that they spent in France, and then also a Japanese side dish to honor the MIS for their time in Japan.
This is a bento, but I have a French omelet.
Sharing stories around the table, living the Nisei dream. But we didn't stop there. Our roots will always be in the telling of the stories of the Nisei veterans of World War II. Our third series is Heroes Among Us, stories of courage, patriotism, and sacrifice. Using our Hanashi oral histories and archival photos, we share some of the personal stories of World War II. In this first episode, we focus on the breaking of the Gothic line and the roles that the 100th Battalion and the 442nd Regimental Combat Team played in this historic assault. The Nazi forces in Italy, using Italian slave labor, constructed a defensive line of concrete bunkers drilled into the mountainsides, many miles of anti-tank ditches, 130,000 yards of barbed wire, air defense installations, and nearly 2,400 machine gun nests with interlocking fire across a 10-mile deep corridor that stretched 200 miles across Italy, from its west coast at Carrara through the Apennine Mountains to its eastern coast at Pesaro. The Gothic Line, as it was known, appeared to be impregnable. Allied planes bombed it, and Allied artillery blasted it, but they could not crack the Gothic Line. In March 1945, General Mark Clark demanded that he be given the Japanese-American combat units to help break the Gothic Line.
The 442nd and the 100th Battalion both didn't seem to have impossible in their vocabulary.
When darkness fell on April 4th, the 100th moved towards Georgia Hill undetected. Simultaneously, the 3rd Battalion climbed the steep slope of Mount Fogarito. For 8 hours, I and L Company soldiers, plus M Company machine gunners, scaled the 60-degree incline.
We were in the middle of the night. It was pitch black, so we couldn't see anything. Very, very treacherous. I mean, it was slippery. There was moisture in the air. The pathway was very, very narrow, and we were able to keep in contact with each other by just touching the backpacks of the guy in front of us.
They also knew that if they were to slip and fall, they couldn't yell out. At least one soldier fell 300 feet to his death, but didn't utter a sound.
You know, as a young guy, you think you're going to live forever. It was the first time that I thought I was going to be a goner.
American tanks and mortars now blast German hillside strongholds in the center.
The soldiers of the 100th charged Georgia Hill. The Nisei soldiers were advancing so rapidly, they were running ahead of the friendly artillery rounds.
They were bringing wounded right down the path, so there was a huge boulder, I'd say like 6 foot around, and I was kind of on the south side of that. And we were kind of hunkered down, and I remember a shell hit right on top.
Private First Class Sadao Munimori, he made a frontal one-man attack through heavy fire and took out 2 machine gun nests. A grenade bounced off his helmet. The live grenade rolled toward 2 of his squad members. Without hesitation, he dove on the grenade and smothered the blast with his own body. He saved the lives of 2 men at the cost of his own. The 100th Battalion secured Georgia Hill in 32 minutes. While the 100th was advancing on Georgia Hill, the 3rd Battalion had reached the top of Mount Fogarito. The Nazis were completely unaware of their presence. Within 90 minutes, the crest of Mount Fogarito was secured.
After 10 days, the Germans are driven almost entirely out of their fixed defense position.
The Nisei soldiers of World War II served with great valor and courage. All the while their families back home faced discrimination, racial intolerance, and incarceration. Theirs is truly a great American story of courage, patriotism, and sacrifice. This past summer, our nation struggled with a crisis of conscience over issues of racial equality. We recognized that the Black American veteran story of World War II had many parallels to that of our Nisei veterans. In recognition of their experience, we released 4 short videos.
I'm Junior Bryant, former San Francisco 49er. Today, I serve on the board of directors for Go For Broke National Education Center. In light of today's recent events of racial injustice, we thought it was time to highlight the sacrifices and contributions of Black American soldiers during World War II.
These stories captured the hearts and minds of our younger generations, and we received a great deal of positive feedback through social media. Not only were Japanese American youth listening, but young people of all ethnic backgrounds were posting their approval. But there was another way we started reaching out to the younger generations: cool apparel. We collaborated with young fashion designers to come up with clothing that would appeal to a younger audience. For the last several years, we've partnered with Japangelis, a little Tokyo-based apparel company. Their apparel was an instant hit. The coat of arms especially has truly caught on nationwide. And now we've partnered with Akashi Kama, which was founded by Alec Nakashima, a Yonsei.
3 years ago, I was able to go on the Kakashi trip, which is a trip to send young Nikkei to Japan. I just think there's something interesting about being a Japanese American and visiting Japan for the first time. There's random familiar things, and for me, one of them was seeing the way that people dressed in Japan. You know, kimono, yukata style garments that would be in my grandma's closet, that I always had a lot of respect and admiration for, but never really felt like I could wear them. And I think that was kind of the genesis for me for Akashi Kama, was wanting something to take a little bit from both of those things and create something completely different, something emblematic of being Japanese American. And it was such a collaborative experience working with Go for Broke to see not only the images that they had, but learn some of the stories behind them.
So, when you look at these photos, what jumps out at you?
These were some of the photos that we were looking through when we're going through the archives, right, to really draw inspiration on how Akashi Kama and Go for Broke can tell a story. And I think supporting a mission like Go for Broke is something that I really wanted our brand to be a part of. And it's really a pleasure for us at Akashi Kama to be able to help continue that through to the next generation.
These collaborations are about much more than clothing. They celebrate the courage, patriotism, and sacrifice of our Nisei World War II veterans. And folks, it's all available to purchase on our website. It's been a year of positive P's for us. New programming, new partners, new possibilities to perpetuate the legacy. And the truth is that it is all because of you and the support which you have given to us. Domo arigato for your past support. Mahalo for the future support that you will give us. As I close, let me leave you with images of our young torchbearers cleaning up Evergreen Cemetery, which occurred just last week. The Go for Broke spirit is alive and well in the younger generations.
We would also have veterans come out for like a happy hour, and we'd take some time to sit down and talk with them, have a beer with a veteran, which is really cool. We understand everything that our families have gone through, like these veterans here, what they have done to give us this community and give us these opportunities.
Thank you for everything, the sacrifices you made. It allows the opportunities I have.
Being a part of Go for Broke has really showed me what my Ji-chan went through.
When I think about the 442 and the suicide missions that they went on, you know, it was just something that I thought I emulated as a true hero.
They are a critical and a very important part of the fabric of the Japanese American experience.
These men and women who served at the height of prejudice, that's the perfect story to tell.
Man, that was great. And yes, that certainly is the story to tell. Mitch, you and the staff have been busy with all this new programming.
We certainly have been, David, but before we go on, I want to put a shout out to all the people watching right now. We have literally thousands of people viewing us right now, and we have veterans from around the nation watching us. Let me put a shout out to Norman Hashisaka, who was MIS. He's watching from Kauai. We also have Frank Sakata watching from Sun Valley, and we have Hassan Yanaga from Denver watching in. And I am so excited about this. Mas Suida, 100th Battalion vet, 101 years old. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us here today. But in response to what you said, David, yes, we have been very busy, but But you've been busy also, haven't you? You have a new series out called Facism, and it talks about the experiences of Americans of all backgrounds. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, thanks. I love this opportunity that you're giving me, Mitch. And Facism is, we've conceptualized it through the years. We felt that more attention needs to be put on stereotyping and how people are quickly judged by just the color of their skin. And, you know, the Nisei know that firsthand. There's no better example of that. And so we put together this series, and it covers a lot of different ethnicities, a lot of different chapters in history. But I love the fact that it also allows me to put a focus again on this JA community and the fantastic stories we're getting out of there. In fact, case in point, this week for Veterans Day, I got to feature our beloved Lawson Sakai and go into France and the community of Brières and the amazing lesson that we could pull out of that one chapter in history. Here's the episode. Flying over the Vosges Mountains of eastern France is a stunning sight. Inside this dense forest is a remarkable story, and to find it, follow this vehicle. On board, people in uniform, and a man with a giant smile. His name is Lawson Sakai. When Lawson comes to visit this picturesque village of Brières, they celebrate. There are parades, and he leads them. But why does this 96-year-old Japanese-American man, who was born and raised in Montebello, mean so much to these French citizens?
Our ship was going like this.
Just before heading to France, I sat down with Lawson at his home, and he shows me this picture from October of 1944. That's him, a dashing, rugged young man the day before his 21st birthday. This was taken as he was about to go into the town where today he is so loved.
We're getting ready to go to battle. Bobby Mineta from Hawaii, he lost his right arm next day.
Lawson was part of the U.S. Army's 100th 442nd, often called Nisei. It was a segregated unit of Japanese Americans. Some fought even as their families were unjustly locked up in camps. Others were from Hawaii. Together, they made up one of the toughest fighting units in U.S. history, driven by the desire to prove their patriotism. Their mission on this day was to liberate Brières, one of the most beautiful French communities you could imagine. But in 1944, the town had been under Nazi control for 5 years, enduring horrible atrocities. Lawson remembers the moment the battle began.
And we're going down both sides of the road, and all of a sudden the Germans started firing. Well, the fire wasn't coming from the sea where the buildings were, it's coming from the hills.
The Germans were using the dense forest and the series of hills surrounding the town. The Nisei would have to go into the dark, frightening woods and get them.
Going through the forest is really horrible.
German artillery was adjusted to explode at the top of the trees. Not only was the blasted hot metal deadly, but also the splintering wood. Lawson was hit.
But I thought I was dead. You know, it's so painful and hot, and it just, you can't breathe. You just kind of curl up in a ball, and you think it's the last breath they're going to take.
It took 10 bloody days in the forest and the town to push the Germans out. Bullet holes still riddle the town church. The price was tragically high. The Nisei lost so much in that forest. I Company was hardest hit, going in with 187 men and walking out with 8. Epinal Cemetery, just a short drive from Brières, is where so many American heroes are laid to rest.
2 brave men defied the Air Force orders, tried to fly their planes to the moon. Unfortunately, he lost his life.
In the 10 times Lawson has been back, he's always made it a point to visit his friends who never came home. But there is an amazing byproduct to this tragedy. The citizens of Brières, from the day they were liberated, said that they would never forget. And they haven't. School children are taught this story and then care for their graves. And the most incredible part, the soldiers driving these vintage vehicles are French citizens pretending to be the Nisei. They are reenactors. There are hundreds of them. They have meticulously refurbished the vehicles left behind. They copy the Nisei's uniforms to the stitch. And the tradition is handed down with each generation. There is no attention paid to the color of one's skin. It is only about the content of one's character. And when the real Nisei veterans come to visit, it is a celebration. But as the years go by, our heroes have disappeared. And last summer, Lawson was the last one who could make that trip. And as he pulls away and waves and blows a kiss goodbye, this would be his last trip too. Lawson passed away earlier this year, and with that, we lost one of the biggest smiles and greatest representatives of this amazing group of heroes. But as we fly over this beautiful place, the lessons live on. Courage, gratitude, love, unity. Even though most in our country have never heard this story, for this community, it will forever be part of who they are. Boy, our love to Lawson and his family. What an incredible person he was.
Amazing.
And you were with me on that summer that we went there with him. That's a trip that I'll never forget. And by the way, we have 13 chapters or episodes of Facism. Many of them are about the Japanese-American experience in World War II. So if you want to find them, go to our brand new website, facism.org, facism.org, and you could find all these chapters and extra content. And tonight at 10:30 on ABC7, on Channel 7 here in Los Angeles, there will be a Facism special at 10:30 tonight. But Mitch, I wanted to say a great deal of gratitude goes to you and this organization, because it was you guys that allowed me to tell these bigger stories, and that's really influenced me to continue on with that task, and it's been such an enriching experience for me as a journalist.
Clearly, it's been an enriching experience for everyone involved, and thank you for your work. Before we go on, let me shout out to Frank Morimoto from San Jose and George Shimizu, who served in the MIS. They're watching right now. And, you know, folks, we have people all up and down the West Coast, from Washington, Oregon, and all parts of California watching. Certainly, we have a lot of folks in Hawaii watching, but we also have folks in Ohio and Maine and Denver, and let's see where else we have folks. Colorado, Denver, Colorado, watching right now, and even someone from the United Kingdom. So hello to all of you, and thank you for joining us. David, you've been so busy, you know, with Facism, as you just showed us, but you're working on another project right now regarding letters that our veterans wrote home. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is really, really important for everybody out there. And if you're watching this, more than likely you have family that is somehow connected to the 100-442 MIS. And through the years, I've been contacted by folks out there saying, I have letters from my father or my grandfather. Would you like them? What can I do with them? And I tell them, those are invaluable. They're such an incredible piece of history. So we're asking that if you have letters, don't send us the letters, but Xerox them, or at least contact us. There's some information on your screen. Contact us and tell us about them. Let us know you have them, and please hold on to them, and we will get back to you, because we would love to put together a piece using those incredible letters. And there are so many that were so eloquent and beautiful, and it takes us back to that time, and it'll help us better tell this story in a different way.
And together, David and Go for Broke National Education Center we're planning on putting together a documentary on this that will really be spectacular. You've seen the work that David can do, and with the letters that share the heartfelt experiences of our veterans and their families back home, we're looking forward to telling the story in a new and innovative way. So David, thank you so much for the work that you do. Thank you so much for all that you've contributed to the Nisei veteran story.
My pleasure.
Introducing the final living Nisei photo tribute is an icon, not only in the Japanese American community, but in the American community. The Honorable Norman Y. Mineta served 20 years in the House of Representatives, and as Secretary of Commerce and Secretary of Transportation under 2 different presidents. He is not only a good friend, but a dedicated supporter of our veterans. He joins us today to recognize the magnitude and the significance of our veterans' legacy.
I am pleased to join you all today to help Go for Broke National Education Center celebrate and honor the distinguished legacy of our Nisei World War II veterans. Over 75 years ago, these brave young Nisei, without hesitation, were determined to prove their loyalty and to fight for equality. As a young boy incarcerated at that time, I experienced what it meant to be denied our civil liberties. As a member of Congress in the 1980s, I know that redress was made possible because of your legacy. It is my honor to introduce our final segment of the Living Nisei World War II Veteran Photo Tribute. I thank each and every one of you for your significant service to our country.
is that time in the program when I need to directly appeal to all of you for your support. We all know what a challenging year this has been. I don't need to belabor that point. Today, you've seen how we plan on connecting with our younger generations, virtual programming, clothing, and our continued storytelling across the nation. For those of you who have already given to us, thank you. And for those of you who have not yet given, please consider doing so. You can make a gift through our website at www.goforbroke.org or through our Facebook page. Every gift, small or large, makes a difference. Earlier this year, I was speaking to one of our veterans. He looked me in the eye and said, "When we are all gone, who will tell our story? Please keep it alive." On behalf of our heroes, I ask that you please support us as we keep the story alive for the next generations. Domo arigato. Mahalo. Thank you.
Well said, Mitch. Well, we have reached the end of the 19th Annual Evening of Aloha Virtual Gala. Please continue to stay connected to us on our soon-to-be-launched new website, our online newsletter, and on our social media channels. On behalf of the Go for Broke National Education Center leadership, staff, volunteers, and our veterans and their families, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We also thank again our Evening of Aloha sponsors and supporters who continue to believe in our mission.
And of course, thank you, David, for always being there for us. As always, it's been a pleasure working with you. And before we leave, I want to give one last shout out to Mano Kawahara from Phoenix, Ralph Matsumoto, who lives in LA but is visiting in Houston, Texas, and Tutsi Tsutsui, who's in Denver. Thank you for joining us. And all the other veterans who haven't actually written in, thank you very, very much for being a part of our program today. Everyone, please be safe and stay well during this crazy, crazy time. And we will see you very, very soon. We now will have the retiring of the colors by the 100th Battalion, 442nd Infantry Regiment Color Guard from Hawaii, followed by our post-show sponsor and supporter roll call.
Order. Halt. Colors turn. Halt. Up. Up.